What is up, dudes? Oh, and lady dudes, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we're looking at Burning Abyss. As soon as the new ban list dropped, I was immediately extremely excited to go ahead and update Burning Abyss. It's one of my favorite decks of all time. I didn't even play when this deck came out. I just love this deck for what it is. I love the designs of the cards. I love how much the deck loops, and I love for like a deck that almost seems like it could be built as a combo deck. I love how well it can play a control game as well, and how well it like mixes with traps. So I'm a big fan of this deck. I play a more control-y variant of this deck, as I do most things. But yeah, this deck's no joke. I just feel like the combo variant is a little bit weak. It's like definitely weak to like hand traps. Like one hand trap a lot of the time is going to stop your play. So I feel like this is the version to go with. And yeah, without further ado, let's just get right into it. So starting off with our BA lineup, we're on 2 copies of Seer, kind of off to the side there, 2 copies of Graph. Both of these just went from 1 to 2 on the ban list. You gotta play them, they're too good. 3 copies of Farfa. I really like 3 Farfa. Some people don't, but this is one of those cards that sometimes I'm just like, resolve this on your turn to disrupt you, resolve one on my turn to help me push for damage / like break your board, and then resolve one more again on your turn to keep you from ever making a comeback into the duel. And yeah, so I like 3 of this guy because he just can be important. You can just come up like that. 2 copies of Skarm. I definitely dropped a copy of this to play another copy of Graph and Seer. So yeah, it's a fine card. It's great for just searching a follow-up play. We just have a bunch of cards that already like get you to put this in grave, so you just don't need to play 3 of it. Drawing, it's not the best, and so we're minimizing on that. 1 copy of Alec. I like this card because it helps you pair with like a Farfa, because it is hard once per turn. So if you had like a Beatrice plus a Fiend Griefing, you could like send the Farfa off Beatrice and then send the Alec off of Fiend Griefing. That way you could get both disruptions if you needed them. Like you were like, oh crap, my opponent has extenders, I need to stop this next thing too. So you're like, send 1, send 2, get it done. And then Barbar, he's just there for burning. Burn in time can be nice. As well as like if you just get your opponent really, really close to being dead, you could just finish them off with this card if they think you have like no more outs or whatever. Like boom, just send Barbar, burn for game, no big deal. All right, so moving on to the honorary Burning Abyss monsters, we're on 3 copies of Tour Guide from the Underworld and 2 Fiendish Rhino Warrior. And honestly, at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and dub this guy a new honorary BA monster. Absolute King Backjack, really cool card in the deck. If you don't know what he does, he essentially says when he's sent from the, he's just sent to the graveyard, period. So you could summon him, link him off, whatever. When he hits the graveyard, you get to look at the top 3 cards of your deck and then put them in any order you want. Then, as a quick effect during your opponent's turn, you can banish him to mill the top card of your deck, essentially. And if it's a spell or trap, if it's a trap, you can set it and it will be activatable that turn. So I'm getting you immediate access to a trap after you've already looked at the top of your deck and been like, oh, good trap in there, let's put that on top. Or it like mills the other card. So sometimes even if you don't hit a trap off the top, you could just find a Farfa or an Alec and just like send them, boom, disruption anyway, still gets the job done. Very cool card in the deck. I almost want to play 2, but space is a little bit tight, and you'll see when we get a little later on. I'll give you some options if you want to play 2, but a very, very cool card. In a grindy game, 2 of them could definitely come up, but for this deck, I'm going to leave him at 1. Because I'm trying to build this like the most competitive I think it can be. Some people hate Tour Guide because she's very frail. She is pretty frail, I'm not going to lie to you, but she's only 1 card. She's a 1-card combo. It's not like you're putting in a 2 and 3 card combo that loses to 1 hand trap. Your opponent goes neg 1 out of the hand, you go neg 1 out of the hand. But you also get to just set 2 or 3 traps and have like a hand trap in hand. Boom, you can still handle that. So that's why I still like Tour Guide. Moving on here to the rest of the monsters, it's just 3 Ash and 3 Veiler. I'm very big on Veiler right now just because Veiler and Impermanence not only are just good in general against combo decks, but they stop Verte Anaconda. So if you opened multiple hand traps and the first, like the Ash stopped like your opponent's like first play, like they go Hulk and you Ash it, and then they just try and get to a Verte Anaconda, that's where the Veiler comes in, because Ash can't hit Veiler, so or can't hit Verte Anaconda. So yeah, I like this hand trap right now just because Verte's in the format with Dragoon and stuff. So yeah, just got to play them. You got to have hand traps. You got to have something to not allow these combo decks to just take a duty all over your chin. And then we get to the only spell I play. If you want to play this deck at the most competitive version, I truly believe that Forbidden Droplet should be in this deck at 3. This deck has so many insanely good discards that I think this card just helps you so much going second. Like, could you imagine just like discarding Farfa, like, and Seer or Graph or something? And like to resolve this, negate a board, summon off Graph or Seer, and then just like combo, just like go your combo from there, and like break your opponent's whole board. This card is great, and even if you open it going first, it can be a really nice disruption still going first, and then like discard a Scarm. Scarm adds you a follow-up play for next turn, so it's not even like you're like losing like your hand that way. So I just think this card's too good in this deck not to play just from like the discard synergy. If you don't want to play this, however, at the end of the 40 card main deck, I'll go ahead and show you a couple cards that I would sub in for these 3 slots. In fact, I literally had those in here until like I literally thought about it and I was like, oh my god, Droplets is too good not to play in this deck. And so that's like, I'll even show you the cards I literally had in here before I was like, oh, Droplets, I gotta include it. So yeah, Droplet's the only spell. I know it's expensive, but I'll show you the more budget versions in a sec. Moving on to the trap lineup, though, you got to play a decent one because we're playing like the backjack stuff, and this deck wants to play control anyway. 3 copies of Trap Trick, 3 copies of Fiend Griefing, 3 copies of Paleozoic Deinonymiscus, 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, and 2 copies of Lost Wind. So this is our trap lineup here. It's not too crazy. I think it's what, 13? No, 14. Right? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, so 14 traps, which means off of the backjack, you got 14 traps to hit in the top 3 cards of your deck, so that's actually pretty decent. And you could also throw like 3 Farfa and the 1 Alec in there, so that, or even 2 Rhinos as well. So honestly, you could literally throw, what is that, 6 more cards on top of these, so technically it's like 20 cards. So that's like really nice. But yeah, pretty much you have Trap Trick, which gets you access to all of these. Fiend Griefing is just so good. It's like an engine card as well as a disrupt, like a double disrupt. Just has so much versatility in the deck. Send Graph, send Seer. Maybe you just send or maybe you send Scarm for the follow-up, or you just send Farfa and then shuffle a card from your opponent's graveyard back into the deck for double disruption. This card is so versatile, so good in this deck. It's a reason why I love this deck, is because this card exists. If this card didn't exist, I don't think I would play this deck, because I don't know if I would feel comfortable playing a trap lineup like this if you didn't have like some of it giving you utility of like getting to your engine in the first place. But that's what makes this so cool, is it gives you the ability to just like get your bodies on board, even if you like just didn't have any. It gets you access to get back into your engine, which is so clean. Deinonymiscus, really good. It discards his cost, which triggers BAs and stuff, which is pretty cool. It helps on brick stuff like backjack if you draw him and stuff. As well as it can come back as a free body. You just got to be careful though, like if you're in a situation where you don't want a non-BA on field, or at least make sure that you can clear it. Unfortunately, it's level 2, not level 3, so you can't take this into Cherubini, unfortunately, but still it can be a link fodder body like later in the duel. 3 impermanents, pair this with the Ash, the Veiler, and the Forbidden Droplets, and that is your like 12 card going second package. It's pretty nice. Honestly, I think this is the best hand. This is my favorite hand trap, at least. I don't know if I would say it's the best. Still think Gamma and like Nibiru's not bad right now. Both pretty good. But this is like my favorite one, just because it bypasses Guardian in the Adamancipator matchup, and I do still think they're pretty good. And then Lost Wind. It's just a cool card. Like it's a trap that adds like copies of cards that like are decent to mill off of Dante, as well as just extra utility. I mean, if you need negation, right, because this is removal, this is like more so removal than anything else, removal / like an engine, like graveyard disruption. Impermanence is the only like negation, but if you wanted like a stronger negate, like you get this. This is a permanent negate of a special summoned monster, and it permanently cuts its attack in half. So this has a little bit more power to it than Imperm, so I like that. And I just wanted one more trap here. If you want, you could play Karma Cut, Compulse. I also like Ice Dragon's Prison, Icy Dragon Prison, whatever it's called. The new trap that says like revive a monster from your opponent's grave, then banish a monster on both fields with the same type. So like in Rocket, like versus Rockets or Dragon Link. You just revive a dragon from their grave, then banish the dragon you revived and a dragon on their field. So it's kind of like banishing a monster. It's kind of like DD crowing them while also dynamiscusing them at the same time. It only just works on specific decks, but I do think in the meta it's actually a pretty good card. But those are just some other options if you want to toy around with the trap lineup. But I like this one for right now, but I will definitely take a little bit deeper look at Ice Dragon's Prison for sure. And like I said, with the forbidden droplets, the stuff that I would specifically add in would be like a second Absolute King Backjack if you want to play more budget, a Foolish Burial. Here's the thing, and people may be like, what? You're not playing Foolish Burial in the main? I'm not. I just think it's like kind of underwhelming. Like, yes, there's some decent utility, but like, okay, you can burn your opponent for a little bit. You can negate a monster, but it's got to be negated right now. And usually you'd rather just be doing this as a quick effect on your opponent's turn. You could send Skarm, which is technically Rhoda, but it's a really, really slow Rhoda. You could send Farfa, it banishes something, but they get it back on the end phase. So if you're not going to kill them immediately, it's not that great. Or you can send Graf or Seer, and yes, they get you a free summon from deck or grave, but Seer needs a little bit of setup prior to using it, and Graph doesn't even work unless you're normal summoning another BA anyway. So it's just fine, I guess. And the only other thing is Backjack. You could send Backjack, but I feel like it's fine. But I just felt I don't know. If you're not playing the droplets, I think this card could totally be in here just as a utility card. Whatever you need in any situation, send that. And then I have Lost Wind here, or this could be whatever other trap you wanted if you weren't playing Lost Wind, but instead playing Ice Dragon's Prison, Compulse, Karma Cut. Any of those, you could just play a third one just so, just another copy, just because it's a good card. It really is. So, yeah, that's just a quick little budget thing, because other than that, everything else in the deck is pretty budget, other than the fact that the BA stuff might have recently gone up, just because it's BA and they just came out the ban list. So yeah, hopefully that's pretty nice. Moving on to the extra deck though, we're on 2 copies of Dante, 1 copy of Levier the Sea Dragon, and I guess a card I want to try out. I honestly haven't had it come up too much yet, but I have Cicada King, number 3 Cicada King here. Dante, I think 2 Dante's correct, especially in a grindier version. In fact, I would almost consider 3, but 3 doesn't really come up for me that often, so I'm just sticking to 2 until I am convinced that 3 is absolutely necessary. Levier the Sea Dragon, not really that amazing in this deck, but specifically after you banish a Backjack, using this to just revive him is honestly pretty clean, because you use 2 bodies to get into this, and then you revive it getting 2 bodies, right? So then these link into a link 2. And then Backjack is going to get you another free card next turn. So it's kind of like a +1 when you're reviving Backjack, which is pretty cool. And then Cicada King, he's kind of cool. He's just a rank 3. So if all you could do was get 2 level 3s on the board, and maybe you already use Beatrice or something, you could just make him. And he's kind of just an imperm. He's when your opponent summons a monster, you can just negate it. Or no, I'm sorry. When a monster on the field activates his effect, you can attach a material, target that monster, and negate it. So it is just a disruption. It's 2,500 defense. It's kind of a cool card. Just as a rank 3 turbo deck, and you have a little bit of space in BAs. So figure I might as well try it out. And then the Beatrice, obviously, you make it on Dante. It sends a Farfa on your opponent's turn. It's pretty good. And then one Dante Pilgrim. I really like this card. I just think I want big payoff if my opponent thinks that they can just kill Beatrice and get away scot-free, because some decks just can't even deal with a card like that. For the links though, we're on Gravity Controller. You can make Dante up in the extra monster zone, link him off for this, and still get that add back, which is kind of nice. Then we have Cerberus, Phoenix, and Unicorn. These are all huge. They discard, which could give you could activate Burning Abyss effects, and then they're just generic removal. They set you up ready to go for a kill, because you just go into one of these, remove whatever's left on your opponent's field, and then go for game. Go Access Code, go Boral Sword, whichever you prefer, and then kill. Masquerena, you got to use this. Just Tour Guide, I believe, gets you Masquerena plus Beatrice, and maybe another, and is it Dante 2? Is it no, it's not Dante 2. I'm trying to remember exactly what it ends you, but it ends you with the ability to go Unicorn on your opponent's turn and hit them with a Beatrice, just off 1 card, and that's just that's with losing no cards in hand, so it's pretty cool. Masquerena, one Cherubini. It really doesn't come up that often. Like for such a strong monster that we thought would have been like the centerpiece of Burning Abyss for the rest of time, it really is not. But it can come up, and it can be good when it does come up. So I'm gonna play it for now, for when it does, and it like saves my life. Like maybe I just need to get to Barbar, and like I have access to 2 Burning Abysses or 2 level 3s, but I just don't have Barbar, and I need to just dink my opponent for game. Boom, play it safe, send the Barbar, burn your opponent, get the win. Topologic Trisbana. Cool card in this deck with stuff like Fiend Grieving, sending a Graph, sending a Seer, with stuff like Beatrice, sending a Graph, sending a Seer, with stuff like Forbidden Droplets, discarding a Graph, discarding a Seer, with stuff like Backcheck, milling something that can get you a quick special summon. Pretty damn good. There's a lot going on there, but pretty much the idea is in a back row matchup, if you just like specifically because you know you can make this play, keep your back row void of cards, and then just go into this card and then just like win a duel versus Altergeist, Guru, whatever. It's a cool card. I think when it comes up, you're just winning. Like if it resolves, you just won the duel. Like that's why I like it. Boral Sword. I honestly kind of value this over Access Code at the moment, just because like this card, this slot specifically for me is a specific just kill. We want the duel to be over with this card. And Access Code is good, and he's great for OTKs, but he doesn't put pure damage on the field like Boral Sword does. Boral Sword puts pure damage on the field in a better way. Access Code is just better at clearing fields. So if you wanted, you could play both. I don't have Access Code at the moment. This, honestly, I would actually play Appaloosa over Avermax, because sometimes you just do build up a bunch of link materials, but you're not able to kill, so you're just like, let me just clear their board with what I can, and let me make an Appaloosa. I have Avermax here just as a substitute, but if you have Oppo, I think I would probably play Oppo here before Boral Sword, but that's just me, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is even better. I don't know. But yeah, that's going to do it for the extra deck and do it for the entire deck profile, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. And as always, leave your thoughts down below. Like, what do you think of this list? What do you think of Burning Abyss right now? Pure Burning Abyss, PK Fire, even if you want to throw it in there. How good do you think this deck can be now? And also, how good do you think this deck can be post Phantom Rage with the new Phantom Knight stuff? Because that stuff is no joke. It could legitimately be part of the meta in upcoming formats. So let me know your thoughts down below on those. I'm always taking suggestions on builds. I'm just one guy building by myself, so I love to hear your thoughts on things. Thank you so much for watching. As always, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more deck profiles from me in the future, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.